Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the memorial dedication in honor of the fallen members of the 603rd Air Control Squadron. I am Colonel Retired Roman Hund, and I'm honored to be your Master of Ceremonies this morning. At this time, please silence or turn off any of your mobile devices or cell phones. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the posting of the colors of the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Honor Guard and the National Anthem. Honor Guard, post the colors.
Colors turn. March.
Chaplain Kreitzer, please come forward for the invocation.
Creator of all, we remember before you with grateful hearts the members of the 603rd Air Control Squadron whom we honor today, and all the men and women of our country who in the day of decision ventured much for the liberties we now enjoy. Grant that we may not rest until all the people of this land share the benefits of true freedom and gladly accept its disciplines. We commend your gracious care in keeping all the men and women of our armed forces at home and abroad. Defend them day by day with your heavenly grace. Strengthen them in their trials and temptations. Give them courage to face the perils which beset them, and grant them a sense of your abiding presence wherever they may be. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Please be seated. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending today's ceremony. We're gathered here to forever memorialize the 5 members of the 603rd Air Control Squadron who lost their lives while serving our great nation. Please join me in welcoming our special guests. The Director, National Museum of the United States Air Force, Mr. David Tillotson III. The Commander, 606 Air Control Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Robertson. Former commanders of the 603rd Air Control Squadron, Colonel Jenny Spears, United States Air Force retired. Colonel Bill Eliason, United States Air Force retired. We would like to recognize our distinguished guests, Colonel Eric Bierstrom, retired. Colonel Gino Lee, United States Air Force retired. Colonel Charles Arata, United States Air Force retired. Chief Master Sergeant Arlene Heath, United States Air Force retired. Chief Master Sergeant Edward Rojo, United States Air Force retired. Chief Master Sergeant Tony Saunders, United States Air Force retired. Chief Master Sergeant Mike Ivey, United States Air Force retired. The 603rd Air Control Squadron was a very special unit, and we'll never forget our times as Scorpions. I'd like to ask my fellow airmen who were members of the 603rd to please rise. Thank you. We will soon unveil and present the monument to the National Museum of the United States Air Force. The 5 Scorpions who died while in active duty with the 603rd are listed on this monument that will forever serve as a memorial to their service. We will now recognize family members of those fallen Scorpions who were able to join us today. Representing the family of First Lieutenant Michael Lacey, Mr. Lauren Lacey, Kay Lacey, Ms. Bridget Smith, Jeff and Lana Parker. Representing the family of Staff Sergeant Ricardo Duran Jr., Mr. Ricardo Duran Sr., and Mr. Kevin Duran. Since the squadron deactivated in 2013, 2 additional Scorpions have passed away. Please join me in a moment of silence for Chief Master Sergeant George Covington, United States Air Force retired, and Matt Ewell. Thank you. Thank you everyone for honoring our special guests, especially our dear family members. Today is all about them. Major Wingard, will you please come forward and share the story of the fallen Scorpion Memorial?
Thank you, Colonel Hunt. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Director Tillotson, Colonel Robertson, former commanders, chiefs, members of the 603rd, friends, Chaplain Kreitzer, especially the family members in attendance today. Thank you for traveling to this event. An event made possible by contributions from more people than I can count. The efforts of my colleagues must be recognized as well. Colonel Gino Lee, Colonel Roman Hund, Chief Master Sergeant Mike Ivey, Sean Legan. This event wouldn't be possible without your persistent efforts. Jane Leach from the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force. You were my first contact on this project over 3 years ago. Thank you for helping us accomplish our mission of memorializing our friends and loved ones on this fitting plot of land for generations to come. Their names will live on for eternity because of the efforts of all of you. Aviano Air Base and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Public Affairs offices, thank you for helping us coordinate all the details that go into a project like this. The 603rd Aircraft Control and Warning Squadron was activated on December 31st, 1945, and eventually inactivated in 1965. It was reactivated on July 1st, 1991, and redesignated as the 603rd Air Control Squadron on March 31st, 1992. The 603rd ACS, known as the Scorpions, was assigned to Aviano Air Base, Italy from April 1st, 1994, until it was again inactivated on January 31st, 2013. The memorial that you'll see today was created in 2003. The idea of then Master Sergeant Mike Ivey. Mike led the dedication of this memorial honoring 3 airmen who had died since the unit's 1991 reactivation. The marker was placed in the unit compound on Aviano Air Base. Mike and I worked together, and I was proud to assist him in creating this monument and arranging its dedication. Time moved on, and over the years, 2 more Scorpions were lost, including Airman First Class Antoine Holt, whom we both knew. Mike and I moved on to our next assignments, but unfortunately, the memorial was never updated. The 603rd ACS was again deactivated in 2013. The unit colors were retired, equipment and personnel departed, but the memorial remained. As my Air Force career continued, it eventually brought me back to Europe with an assignment to the U.S. Embassy in Budapest, Hungary. During a trip to Aviano in 2016, I visited the vacant compound with my family. What we found amongst weeds and overgrowth was that faded, forgotten stone we had dedicated all those years before. This bothered me, and I continued to think about it after returning to Budapest. I reached out to Mike, now a retired chief, and described what we saw. He agreed we should preserve this memorial from a unit that had meant so much to both of us. The next step was to contact the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force here in Dayton to gauge interest in displaying the memorial. Special Events Coordinator Jane Leach provided guidance on the many hurdles I would need to negotiate to have the memorial displayed. I learned there was a lot of work to do. I needed to add the 2 missing Scorpions. I needed documents on each of the 5 airmen to tie them to the unit. I needed permission to move the memorial, and I had to figure out how to get it out of Italy, bring it to Ohio. An early step was to contact the 31st Fire Wing historian, Miss Angelic Nelson, to help me research files while simultaneously coordinating with the 606th ACS commander of the time, Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Gibney, to request permission to remove the memorial. The 606th was in its early stages of relocating from Germany to occupy the same compound on Aviano. Everyone I spoke with agreed this was a worthy project, and I had the green light. Eventually, I returned to Aviano and brought the 300-pound memorial back to Hungary with the help of Mr. von Mosley, a State Department colleague from Budapest. To add the missing names and deepen the existing engraving, I hired Mr. János Katu, a Hungarian master engraver that I coincidentally met while he was carving the outgoing ambassador's name on a marble slab in the embassy in early 2017. My Hungarian is terrible, so I enlisted the help of Mr. Mike Newberg, a co-worker from my office, who translated between English and Hungarian to arrange the memorial updating and improvements with János. This was something I could have never accomplished on my own. It was truly inspiring to watch János perform his craft using only primitive tools in my garden with the ease of a finely tuned machine. However, I still faced the problem of getting the hefty monument to Ohio. Fortunately, another embassy colleague saved the day. Major Dan Davis of the Ohio Air National Guard managed state partnership relations between the U.S. and Hungary, and also as a C-130 pilot. As luck would have it, an Air National Guard unit was participating in an exercise during the summer of 2017 and operating their own aircraft. I owe an enormous debt of gratitude to an unnamed airlift wing for transporting some very special cargo to the U.S. Mike Ivey was now living in Michigan, so he picked up the memorial, and it was once again back in Scorpion hands. Meanwhile, I continued collecting documentation through Freedom of Information Act requests and web surfing to satisfy museum requirements. I was also searching for relatives of the 5 fallen airmen. These deaths occurred from 1994 to 2005, so this promised to be a difficult task. A lot goes into a project like this, but of course our persistence eventually paid off. In March of this year, we received a letter of acceptance from the museum announcing that the 603rd ACS Fallen Scorpion Memorial would be placed on permanent display here at the Outdoor Memorial Park. I was able to contact all 5 families, and while not all may be present today, they're with us in spirit, and will have the opportunity to watch a recording of today's event to honor their loved one's sacrifice. This dedication is unique, as this memorial wasn't specifically constructed for placement at the museum, like many others. It is a significant part of 603rd ACS, Aviano Air Base, and Air Force history. And I'm proud to say that I helped accomplish this mission. Freedom isn't free. We've all heard this before. The men listed on this memorial probably didn't think that they would die serving their country. They can't enjoy a home-cooked meal, go on a date with their spouse or girlfriend, or kiss their child goodnight. They died for freedom. It's my hope that this memorial serves as a call to action for us all to enjoy the freedom they represent. This memorial should be an inspiration to us all to live our lives to the fullest in the greatest nation in the world. Indeed, freedom is not free. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you, Major Wingard. We'll now ask each family to come forward for a presentation on behalf of the 603rd members. Please feel free to say a few words about your loved ones if you're willing. And we'll begin, I'll begin with reading the words provided for Airman Croft by Dominique Reno. She sent this in an email recently. Again, this is about Chris Croft. Chris Croft was living the dream in the Air Force with 2 amazing assignments at Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida. Keflavik, Iceland, already under his belt, 22 years old. He joined the 603rd Air Control Squadron at Sembach Air Base, Germany, just 6 months prior to the squadron relocation to Aviano. Chris exemplified our Air Force core values, just as all of you do. He was a patriot. He worked hard as an operator, a 1 Charlie 5, where he supported enforcement of the United Nations no-fly zone over Bosnia and Herzegovina during Operation Deny Flight. He was involved in community service such as Special Olympics. He was a true friend to those around him, and he openly loved his parents. Chris also embraced his opportunities of being in a foreign land and traveled as much as he could on his off time to explore, something I'm sure we can all relate to. On one trip, he ventured solo to Rome for a week to take in the sights and the history. On another, he and some friends drove to Amsterdam for a turn and burn weekend, only to experience the joy of getting his car stolen, losing all of their belongings, and then making a mad scramble to catch a train and try to make it back to work on Monday morning. They did. He took all of it in stride, though, and always with good humor and a smile. Chris was you and me, all of us, loving his life, his friends, loving Italy. In 1994, we lost Chris at 23 years old while he and I were riding our bicycles together to work on a beautiful stretch of Italian country road coming from Maniago, just 1 kilometer from base. Those of us who knew Chris will never forget him, will always miss him, and wish he could be here with us today. God bless. Major Wingard, will you please come forward? Could we have the family of Lieutenant Lacey please come forward? Will the family of Sergeant Duran please come forward?
This is a special day, but it's more special when the families can come. So, again, I love you guys. I'm happy that you're here. Hopefully, you know, much and provide a nice gift for you. Remember this day.
Major Wingard will now present the memorial to Dr. Tillotson on behalf of the members of the 603rd and the families of the fallen Scorpions.
Director Tillotson, as you've heard already, this has been a long time coming. 3.5 years or so we've been working on this. As the representative of the 603rd Air Control Squadron, it is my honor to present this memorial that is outside to you today. This goes to got a photo of it along with a letter for you. Thank you very much, sir. It's all yours now.
Thank you so much. So, on behalf of the National Museum of the United States Air Force, I want to thank members of the 603rd for their memorial. Particularly meaningful to me because in 1977, First Lieutenant Tillotson was assigned, along with every lieutenant on the East Coast ground tax units in the United States, to the 606 Tactical Control Squadron and its two associated tactical control planes. At that time, the 603rd was at Sunbach, so I was there when we were playing games on the inner-German border at the height of the Cold War. So I have fond memories of the entire ground tax unit and staffs in Europe, and I'm glad to know that they're still alive, well, and active in the European theater. So it's a particular honor to accept this. I think you'll be pleased if you go out there with the company you're in. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Tillotson. Chaplain Kreitzer, please come forward for the benediction. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remain standing for the retirement of the colors and the playing of tabs.
O Lord, support us all the day long until the shadows lengthen and the evening comes. The busy world is hushed, the fever of life is over, and our work is done. Then in your mercy grant us safe lodging and a holy rest and peace at the last. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of this ceremony. Thank you for helping present the museum with the Fallen Scorpion Memorial and for honoring those we've lost.